Hello everyone, welcome to Sunya IAS and welcome to this lecture. Today we are talking about a topic which can be asked in your paper in a 10 to 15 marker directly. So it can be either a 10 marker or a 15 marker, and this question, this particular topic has been asked directly, it has been asked indirectly, it has been asked in your prelims, it has been asked in interviews as well, because this is something which impacts our parliamentary democracy a lot. So the topic is anti-defection law. I'm sure if you have been in the preparation journey for even 2 months, 3 months, if you've just started also and you have just picked up Lakshmikant, even then you would have heard something or the other about the anti-defection law. Now, what is anti-defection law? Where is it going to help you in the examination, and why are we discussing about it? We will discuss everything in this very lecture for your exam perspective. Now, please understand 2-3 things. One is that if you have the book, Shunya book, which will have all the notes regarding anti-defection law, then you don't need to make the notes. But if you want to have the notes for this particular class, you need to either get the book or make handwritten notes. Okay? This is what, one of the things is what you need to do. Fine. And I'll tell you how to make those handwritten notes. That's not a problem. But overall, this is something that I wanted to tell you in the beginning, because this series is such that we want that every mains related topic that you have, you cover in this very series. Okay? So, anti-defection law. When we say that something has defected, if this is a compass arrow, this is north, and it has defected towards the east. What does it mean? That it has changed its direction, right? In politics, defection means changing one's political allegiance. Now, I could have said changing one's political party. I could have said that, but I did not say it. Why? Because it is not just political party. It's about changing your political allegiance. And these are the terminologies which give an impression to your examiner that you are a well-read person. When, let's say you, as someone who's aspiring to be in the Indian politics, let's say, you get elected to the Lok Sabha from the BJP party, ruling party right now. Something happens and another party, let's say X, I'm not naming any party, let's say a party X, comes to you and says that 2024 election is coming up, and if you get elected, after being elected in the 2024 election, you switch to our party and we will give you a ministerial portfolio. So right now, you're just an MLA. Okay, you're just an MP, member of parliament. But this particular party comes to you, they say to you that, okay, you get elected over here, you get elected from the BJP seat, from the BJP party in the 2024 elections, and you have had a previously signed deal with this X party. They have said that you come to our party, we will make you finance minister. We will make you finance minister. And after getting elected in your party, through the elected in Lok Sabha through BJP, you leave BJP and you join this X party and you get this finance minister portfolio. Very good for you. Just think about the people, the voters who voted seeing your name or seeing your allegiance to a particular party, and you have actually gone on the back of those voters and you have said that I was in the BJP, now I am in the X party. Consider another situation. You are an independent candidate. You were an independent candidate and you had a very strong stronghold over a particular set of voters, and they were such loyal voters to you because you did not go into the shackles of any political party. They appreciated you being independent and not joining a political party, and they voted for you. Now, after being elected, you have actually joined a political party because they have offered you a ministerial position, right? So if this keeps on happening, and there was a time when this actually happened in the 1960s, there was this parliamentarian called Gaya Lalji. So Mr. Gaya Lalji, within a span of a few days, not even a few weeks or a few months, a few days, Mr. Gaya Lalji, he left the Indian National Congress, he rejoined, he left, he rejoined, he left, he rejoined. So thrice it happened in the 60s. And that was the point wherein the phrase was coined, Aya Ram, Gaya Ram. Fine. Now, the problem with these kind of instances is that they set a precedent, right? They set up a precedent that you can do this and you'll get away with it. And that is precisely what started happening. People started changing their political parties here and there immediately after being elected, immediately after being nominated, and there was no allegiance, there was no loyalty, there was no sense of integrity left, right? There was no sense of integrity left, and everyone was changing political parties here and there. So that after that happened, the 52nd constitutional amendment was enacted, right? The 52nd constitutional amendment was enacted, and mind you, when there is a constitutional amendment under Article 368, why I'm saying constitutional amendment? Because the 10th schedule was added in the Indian Constitution as a part of the 52nd Constitutional Amendment, and this 10th schedule explicitly gave conditions on who can defect, why can you defect, why you cannot defect, and so on and so forth, right? We will discuss all those details. But a constitutional amendment was made. That is how serious this problem got. Now, here I just want to mention that when you get a question on anti-defection law, there are some things that need to be there in your answer, and we'll just discuss those things. About the law, you have to write that the anti-defection law, and this can be your introduction as well, the anti-defection law was introduced in the Indian political democracy, या फिर was constitutionalized in the Indian political democracy or Indian parliamentary democracy by the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay. By the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act, it was introduced. Now, when you go forward writing the answer, you have to see what the question has asked you. So, for example, if the question has asked you explicitly about the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act itself, then write down the basic features of the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Has it been able to achieve its intended purposes? Then you go on to write that 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act lays down the process of disqualification, the basis and the process of disqualification if a particular candidate, if a particular MP or an MLA has defected from their political party. That is fair, that is fine. But if you get a question about, let's say, a philosophical question, like there was one question once a speaker, always a speaker, right? Now in this kind of question, आप रटा रटाया आंसर नहीं लिख सकते हो. You have to frame it at that point. So let's say if you get a question about something like this, that defection kills or defection murders the spirit of parliamentary democracy? Something like that. UPSC likes asking these kind of questions. Essay mein to they've gone completely philosophical, but even in the GS questions, a few questions here and there you can find that are philosophical. So when you get this kind of a question, you have to start by defining defection. What is defection? So as I told you, you can write, defection is a phenomena where political representatives change their political allegiance. Defection is a phenomena where political representatives change their political allegiance in exchange of material benefits, notwithstanding the popular mandate. Notwithstanding the popular mandate by which they were elected. Fine. So the definition of anti-defection law you have to start with if you get a philosophical kind of question. So always have a very open-minded perspective when you're writing a mains answer. You of course have to write some basics, but overall your approach should not be very rigid. It should not be very compact. It should be starting from a generalist perspective and slowly dropping in the particular aspects like judgments, like instances, etc. We'll talk about it. Now, anti-defection law also talks about the criteria for elected members. What kind of situations will lead to the elected members being disqualified? And there are two primary criterias. One is when they change, and you can write this. One is when they change their political party. When they change their political party, and this even applies if a person is elected from a particular party and if they leave that party after being elected and they want to be independent, even then they will be disqualified. Now why is that? Maybe this person will leave the party and become a coalition member for the other alliance that is being formed, right? Maybe the opposition is trying to create an alliance and they are short of a few members and they individually bribe people to leave their parties and become independents. And when they become independents, they ask them to join this coalition. Fine. So changing political party means leaving political party also. So this is one. Okay. The second criteria is not following the directions given by the political party. And by this, what do I mean? I mean not following the whip. Now what is whip? Whip is a political office. First of all, not a constitutional office. Whip is not a constitutional office. But whip is a statutory office. It's a political office appointed by a political party. So whip is a person. And this whip will convey the decisions of the high command of the political party to every member of the political party, and every member has to comply with the decision of the high command. So that is why when we say that Indian parties lack intra-party democracy, Indian parties lack intra-party democracy. What does this mean? This means that the people who belong to a particular party, they can only express their concern or their dissent within the office room of the political party. As soon as they come into the parliament or the state legislature, they have to agree to what their party high command has agreed to. So this is the thing. That is why you see very renowned faces, let's say Shashi Tharoor being in Indian National Congress, talking about, what should be the reforms in the Indian National Congress in the media. But you will never see Shashi Tharoor talking about reforms needed in the Indian National Congress on the floor of the parliament. Fine. So one is if they change their political party or they leave their political party. And the second is if they do not follow the whip. Now, whip is what happened to this? Just a second. Now, whip is not just a person, whip is a direction also. I just said that whip is a person appointed by the political party to convey the decisions of the high command. That is true. But there are three kinds of whips as well. So, whip is a direction also, whip is a person also. There are three kinds of whips: one line whip, two line whip, and three line whip. Fine. Three line whip is the most serious policy making whip on the aspects of policy making, on the aspects of, okay, we are going to present this bill, you have to accept it, you have to reject it, you have to say this, say that, whatever. This is the most substantive whip. So, one line and two line whip can as such be not be followed. But if the parliamentarian does not follow the three line whip, it is considered that the parliamentarian has gone beyond his or her political party's decisions and the parliamentarian has defected. So, effectively, the parliamentarian has to listen and has to obey what the party high command has said. This is anti-defection law. If not, then they will be considered disqualified. Clear? And we'll also talk about who takes the decision. Is it the party who itself takes the decision that this person has not listened to us? Or is it someone else? It is someone else. It is the speaker or the chairperson, presiding officer. We'll talk about it. Second thing. So this is elected members. Second kind of members can be nominated members. So up till very recently, there were Anglo-Indian members, two Anglo-Indian members who were to be nominated by the President of India to the Lok Sabha. You're very clear about that, right? Now that is not there. 104th Constitutional Amendment has removed the Anglo-Indian reservation in the Parliament and the state legislatures as well. But even now, in the Rajya Sabha, there are 12 members. In the Rajya Sabha, there are 12 members that will be appointed, they will be nominated by the President of India. What are the criteria? Remember this: literature, art, social sciences and science. LAS. Fine. It's this is the criteria you remember for the nomination of people. But anyhow, the nominated members in Rajya Sabha, are they allowed to join a political party? Yes or no? They are. They are allowed to join a political party. So let's say someone has been nominated and they are now part of the Rajya Sabha and they want to join a political party. They are going to get 6 months to decide if they want to join a political party. If within 6 months they join this party, it's all fine. They will not be disqualified. And this is one of the criticisms as well, that what is the logic of this 6 months? Why such an arbitrary time frame? Why this exception for the nominated members? Why is that? But that is of course something that we'll talk about. But right now just know the theory. So 6 months for the nominated members to join a political party. If after 6 months a nominated member joins a political party, that member is liable to be disqualified. I am again saying, listen to me very carefully, I am saying liable to be disqualified. There is no automatic disqualification in anti-defection law. It is all in the hands of the presiding officer, which is again a very big criticism. But anyway, so nominated members done. Then criteria for independent candidates. This is very important and this is a perfect condition. Independent candidates are not supposed to join any political party. And here UPSC will confuse you in your prelims examination, because they will give questions as basic as flipping, that independent candidates are allowed to join within 6 months, nominated candidates are allowed to join, not allowed to join at all. No. See, if you understand the logic behind this, you will be able to understand that independent candidates can never join a political party, otherwise they'll be disqualified. Independent candidates have been voted to power. One of the reasons behind that is that people have faith in this particular person, that this particular person will never be taken away by a political party, right? Some people are there who do not believe in political parties. Mahatma Gandhi did not believe in political parties, right? M.N. Roy did not believe in political parties. So, criteria for independent candidates is that they can never join a political party. If they want to join a political party, they need to leave their seat as an MP or an MLA. They need to join the party. They need to face elections again and then get re-elected. Understanding? This is criteria for independent candidates, that is, cannot join any political party. Now that you know the logic behind it, you will never forget and you will never do a question wrong in your prelims examination especially. So these are the features. Then what is the implication of all of this that I just told you? The implication is that primarily that there is no freedom to oppose, right? There is no freedom to oppose to the independent or to the independent legislators, you know. There is no freedom to oppose any decision of the political party. If you want to oppose, you oppose in the party high command, in the party office, right? And in fact, there was a question in the UPSC examination about how the role of individual parliamentarians is declining. The role of individual parliamentarians is declining, and that is leading to the decline of the Indian Parliament itself. What does this mean? This means that by law, by the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act, by the 10th schedule, candidates are not supposed to oppose anything that their party is doing. That means the constituency that they are representing, they're actually not representing that constituency. They are ending up representing only a political party. And allegiance to a political party is not the primary feature of a parliamentary democracy, of a representative democracy. The primary characteristic of a representative democracy is that the leaders have to represent the people, right? That is there. So, this is the implication. Primarily, this is the implication that role of individual parliamentarians has reduced, and that's why Anti-Defection Law has been amended also by the 91st Constitutional Amendment Act. We'll talk about it. But right now, overall, so application, overall, the law will be applicable to both Parliament and state legislatures. Both the houses of Parliament, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and in state legislatures, whichever state legislatures have bicameral legislature, both the houses will be subject to the Anti-Defection Law. Right now, there are 6 states which have a bicameral legislature, and please in the comments write the name of the 6 states which have bicameral legislature. That is your task. Now, there are exceptions. And the exceptions are very interesting because the exceptions do not actually get used. See, there are 2 exceptions to this particular law. One is that if you have been appointed as the presiding officer, if you have been appointed as the presiding officer, who is the presiding officer? In Lok Sabha, it's the speaker. In Rajya Sabha, it is the chairperson. That is the vice president of India. If you are a presiding officer, you are supposed to be a neutral person. You are not supposed to favor a political party. So, technically, so ideally, morally, integrity wise, you should be resigning from your political party, because again, that comes once a speaker, always a speaker. Has to be loyal to the house, not to the party. But unfortunately, in India, that does not happen. That happens in the UK. That's why we always compare the Indian speaker to the British speaker, right? But then in the British speaker aspect of it, there's also another very good provision that as soon as they retire, their seat in the House of Lords is fixed, right? So there is no as such, let's say, insecurity to the speaker. But here, once you resign from the political party, you never know whether you will get into that party again, whether you will get a seat again, and everyone wants certain kind of security for themselves, for their family. So let's not judge the people who don't resign from their seats. Just let's try to think as bureaucrats, as aspiring bureaucrats, what are the reasons. So presiding officer is an exemption. Another exemption is, right now, after the 91st Constitutional Amendment, I'll tell you what it was earlier. If two-thirds of the elected members of the political party, please pay attention here, elected members, I'm not saying two-thirds of the entire political party. Let's say from a particular party X, 30 members have been elected in the Lok Sabha. From a party X, 30 members have been elected in the Lok Sabha. So if out of these 30, 20 members decide to actually merge with another party, not split, not create a new party, but merge with another party, that is allowed. So, two-thirds merger is allowed. And this is again a criticism. Why? Why is it allowed? Because, okay, you have stopped individual defections, but you are actually encouraging mass defections, which will actually lead to the instability of government. Because mass defections will happen, people will go from here to there, the ruling party might lose a lot of legislators, and then they might lose their majority itself, right? So, two-thirds merger is allowed. Now, earlier, what was the condition? Earlier, the condition was, and you can write all of this. I hope you're writing side by side. Earlier, the condition was that if 1/3 members split from the political party, then it will not be considered as defection. This 1/3 was increased to 2/3 and split was changed into merger. So now new parties cannot be formed. From existing parties, you can join into another party, but at least 2/3 have to be there. This was changed by 91st Constitutional Amendment Act. Fine. And this 91st Constitutional Amendment Act also did something which was very interesting, which I would like to mention here, because it is somewhat related to the Anti-Defection Law. So, and this was asked in prelims as well. So, the 91st Constitutional Amendment actually talked about a ceiling. Actually talked about the ceiling in the Council of Ministers. So, I'll tell you where it is. Let's say this is the Lok Sabha, okay, or any state legislative assembly. This is the Council of Ministers. So this is Council of Ministers, this is Lok Sabha. Just imagine a situation wherein there is no cap to how many people you can appoint as your ministers. Who are Council of Ministers? Who are having charges of ministry, Finance Ministry, Home Ministry, External Affairs Ministry, right? Women and Child Development Ministry. all these ministries. So just imagine a situation wherein there is no cap to this. What will happen? Just think progressively. That this particular government will keep on creating new seats, will keep on creating new ministries, new seats, and will keep on adding people, that you come to our government and we will give you this ministry. We have just created this ministry, we will give you this ministry, we will give you this ministry. So first is the value of ministries will keep on declining, because it will just be a bahana, it will just be an excuse for the government to keep on creating new ministries and keep getting people into their party and making them defect. That is one. Second is that overall integrity will die. Integrity will die. Opposition will be killed. Right? Because who would not want a ministerial charge? Who would not want to be a minister in the government of India? Right? I hope you understand the difference between being an MP and a minister. Right? An MP is a wider term. So 545 Lok Sabha MPs, 543 actually now. 543 from the upcoming Lok Sabha elections. But 543 Lok Sabha MPs, and out of them, just not more than 15% can be your ministers. Okay? So 91st Constitutional Amendment Act put in this ceiling of 15% on the Council of Ministers. I hope that is clear to all of you. Fine. The last feature is, and this is very important, that who will get to decide that whether this person should be disqualified or not? You know, how will you decide? So this is very clear. If someone has changed party, it is very clear, changed party, gone. But how will it be clear that this person has violated the whip? Who is the deciding authority? The deciding authority is the speaker or the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha. Now, this is the biggest criticism, because the speaker is not a neutral body, right? And that is why you can never be sure whether the speaker is giving out the right decision or not. That is precisely the reason earlier it was said in the law itself that the speaker's decision is beyond judicial review. It's final and beyond judicial review. But in this judgment called Quijotto-Holohan case, judiciary intervened and judiciary said that no, here it is a part of parliamentary democracy and this cannot be beyond judicial review. So now the situation is that even the speaker's decision is not beyond judicial review. I hope that is clear. I hope the features that are there in the anti-defection law are clear to all of you, because once this is clear, only then we can actually move forward. Right? So, anti-defection law. Now, going forward, here, when you write an answer, you have to make sure that your answer is standing apart in some way or the another. Because if someone has prepared even decently, even marginally, they will know how to write a good answer, right? A good answer with all the basics. But if you write some examples, if you write some actual incidents that happened, that is the time when you will gain a few, 1 or 1.5 mark extra, and you will make a difference. And this you have to do across the topics, right? So recently in West Bengal, instances of defection were seen. Now you can write the name of the political party, you may not write the name of the political party, that is up to you. But West Bengal, when this was happening, it was poll bound. It was basically up to an election. And defections tend to happen, or defections at least, they reach their peak when the term is ending, because they've already served their entire term, so they have nothing to lose, so they'll defect. Right? That is there. A very, very, very famous defection was in Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh, where Jyotiraditya Scindia, with his 22 MLAs, defected from Indian National Congress to BJP. And right now he is the Civil Aviation Minister. So these are the instances that happen, and we have to see them very objectively, right, as bureaucrats, because when you get selected also through this examination, you will see all this happening in front of you, and you cannot judge it morally. Are you understanding? You have to see it very objectively. Okay, this has happened, and that is why it is said that the foremost quality of a bureaucrat is to be politically neutral, is to be impartial. That is the foremost quality of a bureaucrat, which will help you sustain political pressures over a long term. Okay, that is there. Now, there are questions which are asked on methods of disqualification for the MPs and MLAs. And this is not exactly a part of the anti-defection law, but anti-defection law is a part of methods of disqualification. So, Article 102 and 191, 102 for Parliament, 191 for the state legislatures, talk about the methods of disqualification, and the fact that Parliament is supposed to decide the methods, which Parliament has by enacting the Representation of People Act. And there was a question, full-fledged question on the Representation of People Act on what is the procedure for disqualification of the legislators under the Representation of People Act. And anti-defection law, that is the 10th schedule, is another way of disqualifying a particular candidate. Okay, so these are the methods. So you have to understand, whenever you study a topic, you need to understand where that topic lies in the macro scheme of things. In the macro scheme of things, anti-defection law is one of the ways to suspend and to disqualify a legislator. Fine. Suspend and disqualify a legislator, and it is also a method to maintain the parliamentary sanctity of our Indian Parliament, because there cannot be horse trading. There cannot be horse trading of people like that. Okay. Now, let me tell you another phenomena which is happening, and I'm sure you would understand it. You must have heard it also. See, I told you about individuals being suspended, individuals being disqualified under the anti-defection law, and the fact that 2/3 merger is allowed. There is this phenomena called resort politics. Resort politics. Now, what is resort politics? 20 out of 30 legislators, they need to be converted to another political party for merger, so that the party needs to have a majority. So let's say, to get a safe side, 25 legislators are taken to a nice resort somewhere where their phones and everything are taken away. They are given massive amount of money, they are given a very good holiday, they are given luxuries of life which everyone would want to enjoy, and they are told that please join our party, You will get a life like this always. Just right now you are elected, you need to join our party. So these 25, let's say 2 or 3 people had some integrity. 22 out of 30 people converted, and now this particular party, which was engineering these defections, is now having even a bigger majority than it had earlier. This is called resort politics. So you can use this term, that the recent instances of horse trading and resort politics have brought back the focus on anti-defection law and its effectiveness in the Indian parliamentary democracy. You can use an introduction like that. Now, arguments in favor of anti-defection law. See, the arguments in favor are, before even reading, I just say that they're very repetitive. By nature, they're very repetitive because there is just one argument, that it ensures stability. It ensures stability. इसी से आप 10 चीजें और निकाल सकते हो. It ensures integrity. It ensures accountability to the people. It ensures that corruption does not seep into the Indian political system. You can write whatever you want. The basic is that there needs to be stability. If the people are being encouraged to defect more and more, that will lead to the instability of the parliamentary democracy. So that is there. So it ensures stability, it ensures loyalty. It's same, and you will feel that these are the same points, So I'll tell you what keywords you need to write in your answers. The keywords that you need to write are: it ensures stability, it ensures loyalty. Loyalty to whom? Political party. Does it ensure loyalty to the constituency electors? No, not necessarily. Curb malpractices. It allows merger. So if the popularly elected people have decided that this party is not functioning, let's just go towards the just the moral aspect of it, just the idealistic aspect of it. If a particular set of people have decided that this party does not represent us anymore, and we want to join another party which now actually represents us, they can merge with that political party, and this is the rationale behind having this merger exception. Then it also creates a deterrence. It maintains the trust of the voter. It maintains the fact that minorities can be safeguarded, right? It ensures flow of administration because there will be deterrence. So people will not actually go beyond their limits. They will not change their political parties, and their focus will be on governance, not on political calculations. Okay? Ensure policy completion and policy development, good governance overall. And overall, it promotes discipline. So this is the justification of anti-defection law. However, anti-defection law, because it has not been really that effective, defections are happening even today. Apart from the individual defections, it has transitioned to mass defections. That is a big problem. So there will be arguments against the anti-defection law, and these are substantive arguments. Okay, these are substantive arguments. So first of all, as I told you, that a particular set of selected members might feel or might justify by saying that we are defecting for a noble cause. This party does not represent our values anymore, so we are defecting. 2/3 of us have defected. Who will judge this noble cause? There is no one. Okay. This is the primary criticism. It is against dissent. It is not allowing any legislator as such to voice their opposing opinion. And if you are not able to voice your opposing opinion within the political party that you are functioning for, how will you do that on the floor of the house? Right? How will you actually, opposition is the core of democracy. Without opposition, democracy cannot function. How will you actually explain democracy, right? So it's against dissent. This point can be expanded to say that freedom of speech and expression is also violated over here. We become a puppet of the political party. And you can rephrase this. You can say individual parliamentarians' role has declined because of the anti-defection law. It affects matter of choice. Again, this is corollary to this. Loss of independence. This is very important. So these four are basically similar points. Okay. Unbridled power to the presiding officer. Right. Unbridled power to the presiding officer. What does this mean? That be it the speaker, be it the chairperson, they are not judicial bodies, first of all. They are not even politically neutral bodies. And they are getting to decide whether this person has defected or not defected or whatever. So how fair is that? That is not fair. And that precisely was the argument of the Law Commission as well. That has been the argument of the Election Commission. That has been the argument of the Supreme Court of India as well. That there needs to be an independent tribunal which will actually go on to decide whether this person has defected or not. It prevents discussion and debates, again to this one. No incentives to overall to stay within a political party, right? A person is working on incentives, and you know for a fact that, like for example, let's talk about the speaker. Even if the speaker, and there have been speakers in the past who have left their chair to be politically neutral, but what did they get? We don't have their names also in the popular culture. So the thing is, there have to be incentives to stay true to their party. And overall, it has failed to prevent defection. And you can also write that it has encouraged mass defection. It has encouraged mass defection rather than individual defection. It has encouraged mass defection. So that is a problem. Then procedural delay. And here I want you to write the name of a case. The name of the case is Kesham Meghchandran case. Kesham Meghchandran case. What does this case say? It is the Manipur speaker case actually. So in this case, the Supreme Court has clearly said that the speaker cannot delay the decision of disqualifying or recommending the disqualification of a parliamentarian till eternity. There has to be maximum within 3 months. Maximum within 3 months, the speaker has to give decision whether this person is disqualified or is not disqualified. This is something that the Supreme Court said in Kesham Meghchandran case, also called as Manipur speaker case. Fine. Then it is overall, of course, undemocratic, no doubt about it. It is an undemocratic process because it stifles the speech. You understand that by now, right? Partiality from speaker. Speaker is not a independent body, and you can mention the example of British speaker over here, that it is again in Britain, it is not a part of law that they have to resign from their political parties. No. They do it out of convention. That's a healthy convention. We don't have such a healthy convention, right? Inconsistent ideas overall. Now, the most important, I call it the most important part of your answer, because ultimately the examiner is looking for solutions from this answer sheet, not just problems. So the solution, I say, is the most important aspect of your answer, and the fact that you should be knowing about the problems is the second most important aspect of your answer. Okay, So we have done that. Now, Law Commission 170th report. Please memorize this. Please memorize this. 170th report. Speaker 170th report. Anti-Defection Law 170th report. You can remember this, okay? So Law Commission, because see, there will be people who will just write Law Commission, right? There'll just be people who will write Law Commission, and then there'll be people who will write Law Commission 170th report, and that extra effort will show, okay? Law Commission 170th report has said that the exemption to merger should be done away with. Actually, it recommended that the exception to splits and mergers should be done away with, but the exception to split has already been done away with. So, the exception to two-third merger has to be done away with. There is no defection allowed. Once you are elected from a political party, you stay in that political party. If you don't want to stay, you resign, you get re-elected. Right? Second is, within the Law Commission itself, that whip should be issued only on crucial matters. Whip should be issued only on crucial matters. It's not that you're asking just for attendance, or you're asking just to criticize the political party, the opposition party, or the ruling party. You're just saying, no, there has to be whip, there has to. Whip should be very, very selectively used, and this is to make sure that freedom of speech and expression is not violated. Fine. Then, there is Halim Committee on Anti-Defection Law. You will not find this in a lot of places. Mostly you will find Dinesh Goswami Committee, you will find the 170th report of Law Commission. Halim Committee will give you an edge. So the Halim Committee on Anti-Defection Law has said two very, very pertinent things that you need to define. Parliament needs to define two things. One is, what do you mean by voluntarily leaving one's political party? How do you assess that a person has voluntarily left? Because there have been instances wherein a person, a selected MP, has just said a few things out of the parliament against their party, and they have been taken by the speaker as having defected. So what is the meaning of voluntarily leaving a political party? That is one. And the second thing that you need to define, as said by the Halim Committee, is what exactly is political party? Now, political party as a body needs to be defined. How many members will constitute a political party? What's the minimum? What's the maximum? So that new structures cannot emerge and they cannot claim that, okay, we are political party, these members are merging into us. Okay, that is there. Then, third is by the Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India has given a very pertinent suggestion, and it's a very good suggestion, although it is also problematic in its own regard. But it has said that at the central level, president, and at the state level, it has to be the governor who needs to decide whether the person has defected or not on the binding advice of the Election Commission of India. On the binding advice of the Election Commission of India. Now, Election Commission of India is an independent body. There have been multiple efforts as such, and now the executive has a clear-cut say over the appointment of Election Commission. But overall, Election Commission of India is a independent body, and Election Commission in itself has said that president or governor will decide, not the speaker, that who is to be disqualified, who is not to be disqualified on the binding advice of Election Commission of India. Fine. Now, overall, Supreme Court has gone one step ahead even of Election Commission of India. And Supreme Court has said that there needs to be an independent tribunal. An independent tribunal headed by a retired or a serving judge of Supreme Court or High Court that will decide whether this has happened or not. Because essentially what the Supreme Court said is that when you are deciding the disqualification, you are doing a judicial task, and you are not trained to be a judicial to do a judicial task. So what essentially you are doing is you are against separation of powers. But that again is a flawed argument, because whatever is happening, the Constitution has given this right of interpretation of the Constitution to the Speaker itself. So Supreme Court saying that there should be an independent tribunal, Election Commission saying that there should be binding advice on Election Commission, represents a certain kind of bias also. But overall, these are some of the suggestions, right? These are some of the suggestions that have been given. Then again, Dinesh Goswami committee has said something which is similar which is similar to the Law Commission 170th report. It has said that you cannot stifle the freedom of speech and expression of a parliamentarian. So the disqualification will be limited only to resignation from the political party. Right? You cannot take up the actions or the speech or anything to be counted as leaving a political party. So the person, the MP or MLA, has to formally resign from the political party or defect to be liable under the Anti-Defection Law. The second condition which is said was that voting or abstaining from voting, if it is done against, that is again the 3-line whip. So if this is against done against the party, only then that person should be liable to be disqualified. Overall, these are the suggestions that you need to write. Now, in the conclusion, you can write this sentence that defection, you can start writing this sentence, that defection attacks the substantive soul of parliamentary democracy. Defection attacks the substantive soul of parliamentary democracy by distracting the legislator from policy making to electoral mathematics. Policy making to electoral mathematics. Hence, the Anti-Defection Law needs to be strengthened to arrest the newly emerging threats of mass defections in the interest of parliamentary democracy. So this is Anti-Defection Law in its entirety, for you, entirely covered to answer any kind of question that will be asked in your mains paper. And I hope you derived some value out of it. I have asked you a question. I'll repeat it once again. You need to tell me in the comments which states have a bicameral legislature right now. Okay, there are 6 of them. You need to write it down in the comments. If possible, write down a mnemonic also, so that if it is asked in prelims, you can easily remember. Okay, that's all for today's class. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you for watching.